Hello, the name is Chef B and welcome to the Art of Cooking. Today we're going to make a standard pastry. It's fairly easy to do. Just need some flour and some salt and some baking powder and some shortening and some cold water. The important thing about doing the pastry is you need cold water and cold clean utensils. And the secret to a really light pastry is not to overwork the dough. You know, you've got to be quick. You can't, pound the hell out of it. You've got to be light with it and roll it out and do it nice and easy. The less you play with the dough, the better. Okay, let's get started. Okay, we've got we'll measure off 1.5 cups of flour. And a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, okay, this is not a recipe that you can play with. This is like the formula for success. I wouldn't mess with this. This is not for being creative or anything. Okay, now what we need is to get some cold water. Okay, we got 1/3 cup of very cold water here, and now we need our shortening. Okay, we'll give this a stir. We'll stir in the salt and the baking powder. And what you also need is a 1/2 cup of shortening. What I've done was cut up a 1/4 cup of shortening and a 1/4 cup of butter to make up 1/2 cup of fat. I do that because it just adds a little bit more flavor. Okay, at this point I just use my hands. It's the best tool a chef has. And you just work it together nice and gently. Just put it between your hands and just rub together like that. Again, you don't want to overwork it. You just want to break apart the fat and distribute it with the flour. Okay, of course you want to pull the shortening and the butter out of the fridge early so it's nice and soft to work with. Okay, once that's done, we have to cold water slowly. I just fold it. I'm not really working it. Okay, it's starting to come together now. Of course, I washed my hands before I did this. Okay, the last of the water goes in. And that's probably too much water. Whoa, that happens. So I just add a bit of flour. Again, being careful not to overwork it. Okay, we're there. We're pretty much done. Now what we do next is roll it out. Okay, well the pastry is pretty much done. It's a standard pastry. It's nice and light, it hasn't been overworked. Now, what I do, okay, this will make a, you know, one pie, you know, the crust and the shell, a 9-inch pie. If, you know, to do that you'd cut it in half and roll it out, but what I'm going to do with this pastry is make some beef patties. So what I do is cut them up in quarters here, and just make a round ball here, and just flatten it out. And I get my rolling pin here, roll it out about 1/4 inch. And what I have here is some ground beef with, it's like a curried beef which I made yesterday. I'll show you how to do this in another video. But I've got peas and carrots and onions and mushrooms in there, and it's very yummy, delicious. So I'm going to put this in there. You don't need much. Okay, and you just roll it over and crimp it down. You don't really need to put water in between the dough there to seal it if your dough is moist enough. If it's a little dry, you may need to add a bit of water to seal it. Okay, here's my pan. I'm going to put this on my pan. I've already greased the pan. Let's put a bit of flour on there. Whoops. There we go. Okay, so we got one done here. We'll roll out another one. So the dough sticks, just put some flour on there or sprinkle it on top there. Again, you want the dough to be about 1/4 inch thick. Put your filling in there. That could be a beef filling, it could be chicken, vegetable, anything you want. You can even use this method to make fruit pies, anything. There you go. Put that there, and we might as well do another one. The more we cook at one time, the more hydro we'll save, and the less our carbon footprint will be. Making this stuff at home rather than buying store-bought food is much healthier for you. It's much better on the environment. You've got a much lower carbon footprint. And you're not going to get sick and die from eating processed food. A little bit of bay leaf there, just take that out. And as I push down, I guide on the outside to form a nice round circle. And put this on the pan. Okay, it's not perfect there, you know, I'm not cooking for the Paris Ritz, so I don't really care if it's symmetrical or not. Okay, you put the final touches on it, which is just an egg wash. It's a raw egg with some milk And that gives it a nice shiny look to it. Plus it adds a little bit of flavor to it. Okay, we'll just get this on here nice and quickly. My oven is just come out to about 400. You want to cook pastry at a really hot oven, you know, 400, even 450 if you're doing a puff pastry, but 400 for about 10 minutes, and then you turn it down. And it depends what you're cooking inside. You know, if you're cooking, you know, a pumpkin pie, you want to turn it down to about 325. And so everything is cooked on the inside before the crust burns. Or if you're doing an apple pie, you want to turn it down to 350. This, I'll just shoot it in there. Everything is all, you know, the beef mix is already cooked and warmed up, so I'm just going to shoot it in there for about 12 minutes, 400. And it should be done. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to set the timer for 12 minutes because I will probably forget they're in there. There you go. Time for a break. I'll be back in 12 minutes and we'll see what's going on here with these beef patties. Alright, well, just a sec. Someone's at the door. Okay, smells like the beef pastry is done. Coming up to the 15-minute mark. As you can see, they are golden brown and yummy. There you go. Alright, it's time to plate up these pies, eh? Well, I better turn the oven off. Okay. These are delicious, by the way. Stuck. Alright, here we go. Delicious. Just try it. Hot. Very hot. Oh. But delicious. Wow. As usual, I can't wait till they cool down enough to eat them. That's why you should never cook when you're hungry. There's nothing worse than a hungry chef. Oh, wow. These are good. The pastry is very light and tasty, and that's because I didn't overwork it. It's tasty because I put the butter in there. You don't have to put the butter in there, you can just put half a cup of shortening. It'll work just fine. Okay, there you go. Enjoy.